Good afternoon. Welcome to the Heritage Foundation, to our Lewis Lehrman Auditorium. We, of course, welcome those who join us on all of these occasions on our heritage.org website. I would ask everyone in-house if you'll make that last check that cell phones have been turned off as we prepare to begin. It will be appreciated. Our internet viewers are always welcome to send questions or comments to us at any time, simply emailing speaker@heritage.org. And of course, we will post the program within 24 hours on our homepage for everybody's future reference. Pleased today to co-sponsor this event with our friends at the Westminster Institute. I'm pleased also to welcome Archbishop Okoh. He joined the Nigerian Army in 1969 while still a confirmation candidate. He obtained his diploma in religious studies and a diploma in theology from the Emmanuel College of Theology and was ordained in July 1979. In his long and distinguished career, he has served as a garrison chaplain, vicar, deputy director chaplain, deputy director, assistant director chaplain, as well as colonel coordinate in the Nigerian Army. He ultimately was promoted to lieutenant colonel, a position he held before the House of Bishops elected him Bishop Abasaba in March 2001. He was then elected Archbishop in 2005 and was presented as the Primate of all Nigeria in March 2010. Your Grace, we are pleased to have you here at Heritage. I'll turn the podium over to you, and when we finish, we'll have some questions as well. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm particularly happy that you are interested in what is happening far away in Nigeria. I want to ask you to listen very carefully because I speak Nigerian English. I don't speak American English. So I'm a village pastor. I am very happy, like I said, because the problem we are in is a Nigerian problem. And to come here to see that you are very interested and concerned to see how you can help us solve the problem is something I regard as a plus for you. It's very, very important. The issue in Nigeria about religious crisis is actually not new. It's not new and it's not strange. Why? It's not new because we have coexisted for a very long time with our Muslim brothers and sisters, right before independence. And even though we have occasional clashes here and there, it has not assumed the proportion that we have today. Let me say right away that the problem we have in Nigeria is not Islam, Christianity versus Islam. It's not Christians versus Muslims as such. It is a problem with a group of Muslims who, in fact, may not be taking instruction from mainland Islam. We have meetings with the highest authorities of Islam in Nigeria. The Sultan of Sokoto, as the president of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs in our country, is somebody who is very friendly and is ready to discuss any issues that are of national importance. And we have tried to press him to say, the problems we have, why can't you speak on these issues and talk to these people? And he has said that this group doesn't really take instruction from him. In other words, they are not under control. In fact, if anything, they are trying to reform the mainstream Islam. They believe that those people probably are not sufficiently Islamic. So we are not dealing with something new. You will remember that occasionally we have this flare-up, like when there was this alleged issue of cartoon about the Prophet Muhammad. There was a crisis because while it was happening in Denmark, some Muslim youths in Nigeria attacked Christians, assuming that there is some form of affiliation between Christians in Denmark and Christians in Nigeria, which is very strange. We carry the same passport with them. We live in the same country. We share the same economy, the same commonwealth of anything. Then there was another issue about beauty pageant. And again, people were attacked and people were killed. So things like this have been coming up. And there was a particular issue about a sect in Islam called Maitasini in the Borno state of Nigeria, the northeast, where Boko Haram eventually came out from. And again, there was this uprising and it was put down. The point I'm making is that it's not anything really strange to us that we are having conflict here and there, one with another, because over the years we've come to know how to relate and how to handle these things. But the latest one, this issue about Boko Haram, we can say started with the build-up to the general elections. The general elections that brought the present president into power, and that is Goodluck Jonathan. During that period of campaign, some people felt that it would be their turn to be the president, and that if they didn't get it, then they would make things difficult. And they said as much as that if they didn't become the president, they would make the presidency, the country, ungovernable for President Goodluck Jonathan. So my understanding of what is happening in Nigeria today is that it's quite true, there is a religious group having a particular ideology. And politicians have found that ideology very helpful to them, to use it to fight against the present president. And also, more than that, to strategize for 2015 when they hope for another election. So what we are going through is not something that is going to stop right now. It's more than 100 meters dash. It's a marathon race. And it calls for a lot on the part of the government to be able to solve. Boko Haram has really brought a lot of problem to our country. They have increased in intensity, in scope, and sophistication. They've attacked Maiduguri, Damaturu, Bauchi, Gombe, Yola, Mubi, Jos, Kano, Sokoto, Niger State, Kogi State, and so on. And these things are being repeated. It's not just a question of once. Some of them, it's only the major ones you get to hear about in the newspapers and the media. But on a daily basis, people are being killed. The killing is also not just only that of the Christians. They also kill sometimes Muslims whom they believe to be standing on their way. The Church of Nigeria, which is part of CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria, our reasoning is that we should not have a kind of response to this thing by way of reply or reprisal. Not because people are cowards, not because the people who want to do so are lacking, but for certain considerations. One, the Christian faith we claim to have does not encourage us to go into this type of adventure. You take AK-47 or whatever gun and start shooting at people, whether they are gathered in the mosque or they are gathered anywhere. That will debase our humanity. So again, the second consideration is our country. If we go on to do that, of course, the consequence is very clear. We fight the Muslims will fight us. The consequence is that there will be no Nigeria. That will be dog eat dog. We come to a standstill. We end up. And if you look at that scenario very clearly, you will see that in West African sub-region, there is no country large enough to take Nigeria, where our population is over 160 million. So we can't go to Ghana. Ghana is just like 2 of our states. We can't go to, there is no country, we can't go to Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast in any case has its own trouble. So where do we go if we ruin our country? So maybe this is why Christian Association of Nigeria recommends that we should be patient. We should try and endure it until such a time that this thing will be over. And pile up pressure on government to take action to stop this thing. We've had meetings and meetings and meetings with government. And we have tried to impress on government to carry out its constitutional responsibility of protecting the people. Because it is enshrined in the Constitution that the welfare of the people and their protection will be the primary business of government. And if that is not being done, or is not at least achieving the aim as it should be, then the government should do its best to see that it is done. We have asked government, what's happening? Why are you unable to do this? And the government said, it needs more time to be able to achieve the type of success we are demanding. That in the first place, it was never contemplated that a Nigerian could become a suicide bomber. It was never thought of. That is something very strange to us. Again, it was never thought of that a Nigerian will take AK-47 and go to a place of worship and start shooting people. That even in war, the war convention does not permit that. That you go and shoot people in the place of worship. That what we are doing now is even worse than a war situation. So that there is need to give government some time to re-strategize and build up new approaches to security. So we said it's okay. But people are beginning to say that the government has had enough time to do what it should do to solve this problem. And so we don't really know why it's not succeeding the way it should. The government on its part has had to change government functionaries like the Inspector General of Police, the Minister of Defense, and the Security Advisor. And we've been assured that with these type of steps taken, something new will come out to solve the problem. We've continued to believe in the government because the alternative is to raise our own local groups to fight back, which we have decided never to do in the interest of our country and our faith. So we are still hoping that the government will achieve the type of success that is desirable to stop this thing. There is something that we are beginning to hear in our country which we think is not correct. And that is that some government somewhere believe that Boko Haram is existing as a result of economic mismanagement or marginalization. That cannot be correct. Because when people are economically marginalized, it doesn't mean that the next option is to take up AK-47 and start shooting people in the church. Why not go and shoot people in the government office? If you want to throw bomb Why go to church where people are gathered worshiping and you set a bomb there to explode and kill people worshiping? Why not go to the political party offices? There are so many political parties. Why not go to them and explode bombs? Not that it will be justifiable, but at least it will be clearly shown. Why not go to government office? Why not go to this? You have local government offices, you have state government offices, you have federal government offices. Why not go to those places? Why do you go to church? So no matter how we try to say it's not a religious affair, there is a huge, huge dose of religious issue involved. I want you to take note of that. What I can say to you, I don't know the levels of involvement of the Muslim population. Certainly there are some for whom it is totally abhorrent, who believe that we are destroying ourselves and we are destroying our future by what is happening among the Muslims. And they speak about it and they write about it and they don't hide their feelings. But there are a particular set that are intimidated and they don't want to get involved because they fear that Boko Haram might come for them. But apart from these groups, there are some who offer funding and believe that Boko Haram is doing a good thing. There are those who stand up for them in argument to justify what they are doing. Well, of course, there will be those who will not say anything. Maybe give tacit approval. It is not true that the poverty is the issue, because bombs are not cheap. You don't buy bombs with $5. It's not. AK-47 is a very expensive weapon. And rocket launchers, which they've now got in their arsenal, is not equally cheap. So how can a poor person say, I'm suffering from poverty, then you are buying rocket launcher? Is it food? Or is it clothing? Is it accommodation? And then, it is equally not true to say that the North is oppressed or economically marginalized. For the larger part of Nigerian history, the North had been in leadership. If you check our records, you will see. Tafawa Balewa, who was Prime Minister at independence, was from the North. There was a period for 6 months, somebody from the South took over, Major General Agu Ironsi. He lasted only 6 months and was killed. After Ironsi, Gawan, Major General Gawan, is also from the North, took over and was there for about 8 years plus. After Gawan, we had Muritala Mohammed, also from the North. After Muritala Mohammed, we had Muhammadu Buhari from the North. After Buhari, we had Babangida, who was there for over 8 years from the North. Now, you have all these people. Obasanjo from the South came in, a kind of interlude. And he was there and later handed over to Shagari, who again is from the North. Shagari was there for about 8 years. After Shagari, we had others. Obasanjo now came in, Shonekon, Babangida, all these type of people, they all came in. So the North has had a fair share, more than their share. If there is any region that have been indulged in Nigeria, it is the North. It's the North. And nobody bothered, nobody troubled anybody. And if you want to check, who are the people holding the oil money in Nigeria? It's the North. Go and check the oil blocks. They are all on, the papers are all there. the so-called South that has the oil and so on, there is no traditional ruler or so-called who has any oil block. They are all Northerners. And it is so because they've been favored over the years by the rulership, which had been in their power. Now, the richest man in Nigeria today is from the North. And you have several of them. So when you talk of economic marginalization, the average Nigerian is shocked of that type of theory. And unless there is a reason for propounding such a theory, nobody is going to accept such a thing over there. And if there is such marginalization, the present president cannot be held responsible. For since independence, there has been a succession of those who, if it's a matter of northern interest, who have catered to northern interest. Jonathan is less than 2 years there. So how can he be responsible for what is happening to the north? Besides, Nigeria is structured at 3 levels: local government, state government, and the federal level. Every month, the oil revenue is shared. Shared for the local governments, and in any case, the North has the largest number of local governments. They take their own. What do they do with it? The states take their own, and they have more states. They have 19 out of the 36. What do they do with it? So it is really not a matter of economic oppression. And if anybody doubts it and puts money into the North in the hope that it's going to turn the table for the better, it won't take 2 years before he realizes that he has made a mistake. And so the problem there is that when you have a problem, you have to make effort, no matter what you think, how educated you are, to listen to the person concerned. What is Boko Haram's self-understanding? What does it think of itself? Boko Haram has said that what he wants is that Nigeria should be Islamized, that it cannot negotiate anything less. In fact, recently, it calls on the president that the only ground on which it will have any negotiation is for him to first and foremost become a Muslim. Then negotiation can take place. Without that, no negotiation. Then again, that he doesn't want Western education. If in the 21st century already we are backward, already as a country we are backward, and whatever we can do to catch up, we should do so. But if today somebody is recommending that we close down our schools, colleges and universities, then it is left for such government to judge whether that is an option to be considered. It is therefore very important that those who make case for Boko Haram should listen to Boko Haram. Those who talk about dialogue, they have a point. In any case, we've been in dialogue before Boko Haram came out, because that's how we've been living. Apart from formal dialogue, we've been in a religious interaction. During Salah, Idi Malud, Idi Kabir, Idi Fitri, and so on, we interact. During Christmas, Easter, New Year season, and so on, we interact. So we share a lot in common. It's not a new thing. But what is new that people are asking to do, some people want to do dialogue for Boko Haram, and without the articulations of Boko Haram on the table. If we've had experience of dialogue before, and that is with the Niger Delta militants. Niger Delta militants had to come to Abuja with their leadership, sat on the table, And they gave their views, and the government gave its views, and they were able to strike a deal. But if you say you want to have a dialogue, with who? So most of the dialogue that are being done in the name of Boko Haram, I'm very sorry, they are misplaced. Because Boko Haram has not authorized anybody to do dialogue for it. And the average Nigerian Christian and Nigerian Muslim have no problem. So if it's about dialogue, we have been doing dialogue all along since independence. Of how we can live together, how we can do our politics, how we can do church life, and even in the immediate family, because some Christians in the same family, Muslims in the same family. So necessarily we must talk. But if it's about Boko Haram, nobody is talking for Boko Haram. And Boko Haram has made it clear it has not mandated anybody to speak. So anybody funneling money into dialogue, what is the subject for the negotiation? What's the agenda? Who are the people? The people they saying they are doing dialogue, are they in touch with Boko Haram? Boko Haram till today is a faceless organization, till today. And they have remained like that. So I am afraid that some people may be collecting money to do what they will not and never be able to do successfully. Unless, of course, Boko Haram decides to come out, accredit their leaders, and say, government, these are the people we have nominated to speak for us. And government, you relate with these people. And whatever is the conclusion, we accept. But in the absence of that, it's going to be very difficult to say that you are relying on dialogue to solve Boko Haram's issue. They have said that nothing short of Sharia government will do them, and nothing short of doing away with Western education. Is it not an irony that people who believe so much in bomb manufacture, where did they get the knowledge if they don't want Western education? It's not part of African education to manufacture bomb. What are they doing with that? So that is the issue, that is the problem. And as it is now, what do we want? Why am I talking to you? We need peace in our country. We don't want Nigeria to be destroyed, which will be the case if we take off arms to retaliate. If we decide that enough of this thing, let's organize ourselves and respond, then the world will have opportunity to sell their arms. We have opportunity to sell whatever weapon they manufacture. But to whose disadvantage? We use it to destroy ourselves. We use it to destroy our country. We use it to destroy the church. So we don't ask for opportunity to destroy ourselves. Those who want to help us should do anything possible to stop Boko Haram from bombing the church, from bombing human beings, from reducing us to nothing in our own country. If we can get them to stop, and if they have any grievances at all, whatever, with the government or with anybody, then let them put it on the table and people will discuss. But in the absence of discussion, you begin to give dictations. Let me say that it will not happen that the Christian church in Nigeria will bow to that level of intimidation. And I make the appeal to you to prevail on whoever, maybe our government and so on. Because people are coming to a point of frustration. For instance, in Kaduna, recently, when it was learned that Boko Haram had exploded bomb in 3 locations and killed young people in Sunday school, on the Sunday, the native population lost control. and they went for a reprisal. That has done its own damage, but we don't want that to be the way of doing things for the Christians. And if the bomb continues, like the recent one that was targeted at people doing Bible study in the church, and 19 people were killed. They switch off the light and attack people doing Bible study and killed 19 people and the 2 soldiers. If that trend continues with others that have been happening, and even yesterday we learned that 2 people who were bomb laden were going somewhere to explode the bomb, and unfortunately for them, it exploded too early and killed them. Now, if the trend of attacking the church continues, I can assure you that nobody will allow himself to be wiped out. People will be pushed to find a solution. And the solution, in my own imagination, is that they will want to survive. They will want to call the bluff of Boko Haram. If it means war, they may want to go to that. If it means anything, they will want to go to that. And to avoid getting to that level, that is why we are appealing to everybody. Do whatever you can to prevail on the government to carry out its constitutional responsibility and protect the church. If the government has any problem with Boko Haram, let government receive the bombs. Let them receive the gun attack. But for whatever reason, let the church be spared. We don't want this to be a problem between the Christians and the Muslims, because we have never had this type of experience before. And we don't think there is any reason for the Christians in Nigeria to start fighting the Muslims. And I believe that the Muslims themselves have no reason whatsoever to want to fight the Christians. This recalcitrant group should be brought under control. And if they are brought under control, I believe that the issue will be settled and be settled. And we'll have opportunity to face our developmental problems, which is huge. Huge, that we have our educational system to attend to, our medical issues to attend to, our infrastructural problems to attend to. We have so many things to spend our money and time on. At the moment, Boko Haram has diverted attention from legitimate business of governance. And we are concerned with survival at the moment. It's an opportunity that gives rise to all sorts of things, including corruption. So this is my appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to say, we are grateful that you are concerned, but do more by taking us a step further to see how we can stop the killing of people in the church. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Grace. And we do have time for questions. I believe we have a microphone coming. Christine will get to you. If you'd be so kind to introduce yourself and make an affiliation, it would be helpful. And I'll let Your Grace take the podium again. So you'll have the microphone so everybody can hear you. Yes, sir, there's one here to the right.
Thank you. I'm Leon Weintraub from the University of Wisconsin-Washington semester in International Affairs. I had the good fortune in my earlier career in the U.S. diplomatic service to have served at the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, so I have a very strong interest in what is going on in your country. I wanted to ask you, given what we've seen of Muslim struggles throughout the Middle East, if you could speak about any evidence or information you may have about individuals or financial support or anything else coming into Nigeria from outside in order to abet this activities.
Thank you, sir. Before the death of Gaddafi, he was unduly interested in the affairs of Nigeria. Well, either from the AU point of view or from his own personal agenda. And he canvassed for the breakup of Nigeria into Muslim, Christian enclaves. But both the Muslims and Christians in Nigeria condemned that approach to solutions of problems in our country. But that is not to say Gaddafi was not, in one way or the other, influencing issues underground. So you are correct to say that there are some people from outside. And you are aware that there was a time that Iran was suspected, not suspected, was a ship loaded with arms was caught in Nigeria and from Iran. Again, it was one way or the other handled. Only people in high places of government can tell you how it was concluded. Then, of course, we have the report or suspicion that from Saudi Arabia and from Iran, money is still flowing in to support people in Nigeria, not necessarily for Boko Haram, but maybe for Islamic expansion. But what it is eventually used for, we don't know. So there is certainly a connection from outside, but we don't know for what purpose. If, for instance, a church in the United States gives money to a church in Nigeria, it will not be seen to be anything evil. So maybe if Saudi Arabia gives money to people in Nigeria, it will not be seen to be anything evil until the purpose is known. If it is used for Boko Haram or for killing people or forcefully expanding religion, then it becomes another matter. But I don't have evidence in terms of paper to say they sent so amount of money, they sent to this, they sent to that. Thank you.
Over here. Thanks, Christine. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Mark Farr with the Global Peace Festival Foundation, which GPF works in about 50 countries on interfaith projects, action projects, including Nigeria. Thank you very much for your leadership. And I understand that from what little I know of you, you do work in more unsung ways with Muslims on interfaith projects, which I think is very commendable.
Yeah.
That kind of soft power, malaria, bed nets, that kind of stuff, the sort of thing we do, is often, we find, one of the more successful ways, surprisingly, because it promotes moderates at the expense of the extremes, which is one of the more successful ways to do some of this peace building. Have you found that workable in your country? Do you see a future there, or is it really just too soft to matter when people are blowing churches up? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There is no doubt that given our type of situation, the Christian and the Muslim is together in one big sea of poverty. And so we face the same poor medical situation, life expectancy. There is no question of you are a Muslim, you have 90. I'm a Christian, I have 70. It doesn't apply. So the situation in Nigeria is the same. And that's why I say that you cannot say these people are suffering from this, these people are suffering from that. From Port Harcourt to Sokoto, from Lagos to Maiduguri, and so on. We are all under the same problem. Just take example, our president, we had the misfortune of our president dying in office as a result of a medical condition. So that speaks a lot to you about our medical facilities. It does not know a Muslim, it does not know a Christian. So if the same thing education, the same thing power supply, and so on. So if there is anything that is a common denominator, it is the poverty of the people. And so if we continue working together, I believe that it will help to bring us together and reduce the level of friction. But that has been what the presenting situation is, that politicians are enterprising on the ideology of Boko Haram, and they are seeing them as a tool to foster their political aspirations. And they are funding it, because the people we call the poor people for Boko Haram, they have no money to buy all these things. And do you know that when they go to explode bombs, they use brand new Honda cars? Yes. Brand new Honda cars. And they drive it. If you refuse to, if the gate is closed, they ram it on the gate. And the man and the car will perish. Now, most of these people behind these things, their children are in the US. Their children are in the UK. Their children are all other European countries. And they exploit the children of the poor to carry bomb on themselves and go and kill themselves. It's an evil, unqualified evil. So if we can, at the lower level, what you are saying now is very helpful, that we continue to solve our common problems so that we can improve the lot of the common person. But those who are not able to understand it, that those people manipulating them are evil, they are the ones yielding to this atrocity. And that is why we cannot generalize to say Christian, Muslim, this way.
Another question. Let's come down to, wait a minute, since Christine's in the back, take Ali and then come down here to Katie.
Ali Liami from the Center for Democracy and Human Rights in Saudi Arabia here in Washington, D.C. Archbishop, you are a very polite man, and I understand that. The issue is bigger than you described. You said you have no evidence that money comes from outside and given to Boko Haram. In fact, there was a huge article in The Guardian, an interview with the spokesman for the Boko Haram. And he said, and I quote, "If we need money or if we need weapons, we go to Saudi Arabia and we get it." This is documented, and I have the article. If anybody wants to see it, I'll send it to you. So it is obvious there is a huge source of income, and the Boko Haram people are admitting it. In terms of influencing government, we should in this country work with our government here to support minorities, Christians mostly in Egypt and Syria and Iraq and Jordan and everywhere else, because they are being oppressed. The reason they are being oppressed, and they are leaving their homelands too, the reason that they are being oppressed, it's not because of Christianity as a belief. It is because of the values that Christianity and Judaism offer that the Sharia law doesn't offer. You said that the Mufti of Nigerian Muslims, or Sultan you call him, said that the Boko Haram do not report to him, or they didn't take order from him.
Yes, he said
Boko Haram promote the Sharia law, and so does he. So what's the difference between the two?
Thank you, sir. Now, I'm very happy that you said you have evidence. I have said that Gaddafi, Iran, Saudi Arabia are possible sources of money. That was before Gaddafi crumbled. But till today, Iran not only in any way helped with money, it sent weapons. And the weapons were intercepted at the port. So when you say something at my level as a village pastor, people ask you for evidence. I have no paper to say $50 million was sent to Nigeria by Saudi Arabia. I don't have any paper. And we have been told that even what we read in the papers, we should be careful about it. So to that extent, I want to say that the countries that are funding Boko Haram may be even more than Saudi Arabia and Iran. And there are others. And more, even in Nigeria, the big-time politicians are funding it secretly because they think it will help them to actualize their political dreams. So that is that. And whether in Egypt or anywhere, in Turkey and so on, last week or so, I had the privilege of being with the Turkish group. They were doing breaking of fast in Nigeria, and they invited me. Now, when they came to invite me, what came up in my mind was to ask the representative, are you aware of the history of Christianity in Turkey and how Christianity was wiped out? Are you aware that last Christmas or so, CNN serialized the wiping off of Christianity in Turkey? Did you listen to it? And so on. The answer I got was that there is a new Turkey, and that it's not the Turkey of old, that what they are doing now is promoting harmony and religious tolerance, cultural tolerance, and so on and so forth. So who am I to say is wrong? That people can change. Maybe they have changed. So thank you, sir.
Katie?
Hi, Katie Gorka, Westminster Institute. I wonder if you could say a word about the OIC, the Organization for Islamic Cooperation. Have they condemned the violence of Boko Haram? Have they stayed neutral and silent, or have they in any way commented on this conflict?
Thank you. We've had a running battle in my country with OIC, and they are still pushing. They are still pushing. Still pushing. And that is why sometimes people who are not in the real situation, they misjudge what others do. We have said that a country like ours should be busy solving its problems, like economic problems. We believe that we should be beyond where we are now, with the resources and endowment we have, that we ought to be beyond where we are. But that is not happening. There are a lot of people meddling from here and there. Organizations, international bodies, countries, and so on. And OIC is one of them. OIC is one of them. Their main concern is religion. And when they tell you, you will get so benefit, you will get loan, you will get this, you get this, you get this. And we said, in the light of the overriding problems we have, we think that you should stay away first. Let us organize ourselves. Let us have our focus. Let's have our bearing. Establish permanent structures of governance. Then we can relate with you. But you drag us into religious conflicts, religious problems, which are very difficult to solve. And then you sit back and start to laugh at us. So I quite agree with you that OIC is part of the equation. In the sense that it has not left us alone. It has refused to leave us alone. Up till now, they are still pushing for one thing or the other.
We have time for one more down here.
Faith McDonald from the Institute on Religion and Democracy. Your Grace, earlier you spoke of how the problems with Boko Haram are causing Christians to be afraid to go to church and just causing terrible problems. Well, the Church of Nigeria is the largest church, I think, in much of the world. At least I know the Anglican Church of Nigeria is the largest Anglican church. And it just, I don't know if this is a connection as well, but we've seen resistance from some corners in this country to blame Boko Haram for what's going on. And it occurs to me that that there's also a feeling of somewhat hostility towards Christians in Africa because they have been standing for biblical orthodoxy. So I'm just wondering if you think that some of the not actual action, but desire to not take action is kind of feeling that there's, we don't need to encourage these people to keep going in building this kind of church.
Thank you. Again, we want to maintain goodwill towards all. We are not aware that some might want to work covertly against our interest. But what we are doing is not to show that we are anything. In terms of population, we have a high percentage of church-going people. Let me not call them Christian. Church-going people. They go to church every Sunday. And maybe we have offended some people in the way we do things by advocating for a particular brand of faith. By saying, don't do things like this or do things like this. And in that wise, maybe some people have blacklisted us. But we maintain goodwill to all. And we want to say that there is a demographic shift in terms of Christianity from the north to the south. From the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. And Africa is a home to a large number of Christians in the world today. So I see what we are experiencing in Nigeria playing not only in Nigeria, in Uganda, in Kenya, and so on and so forth. So it looks like a phenomenon that is going around the world. But our peculiar situation is that we are contending with this new dragon that is Boko Haram. And like I told you, one of my bishops, for instance, has withdrawn from his diocese because they made it impossible for him to be there. They've demolished, the church has been demolished, the cathedral, and the new one they are building had to stop because he can't even carry on because of the threat to his life. So we have withdrawn the bishop, and then all the people in the uppermost northern states, those from outside have withdrawn. Either they've come down towards the south or to the middle belt to find where they can stay. So there is a lot of discouragement for people who want to go to church. Because if you want to go to church, you have to consider whether you come back alive. You don't know whether you are going to sit on bomb. You don't know whether a gunman is going to come and attack you. You don't know just what can happen. And so those who are not as strong as others, let me stay at home and watch television. Maybe I will see a TV channel where they are preaching. I will listen to that. Or some are more brave than others, and they dare it. They just go. And when you go, you check your jacket, check your this, check your bomb, check everywhere, and see whether you are tying bomb around yourself and so on. It's not pleasant at all. So it's real. It's a lot of discouragement to people going to church. Yeah. Yes, somebody's raising
We'll
their
do
hand.
one more. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. First of all, I want to say that I was in Nigeria in 1980 for the celebration of my great uncle's life,
1980.
who was Archbishop Vining,
Okay.
the first Anglican Archbishop of West Africa. And the question I wanted to ask, though, is, you may have said something about this, and I don't know if I missed it or not, and that is, I understood that also Boko Haram is also persecuting Muslims, the better Muslims, excuse me. And by the way, I also want to say just quickly, I understand that Archbishop Vining, when he first came back from Freetown after being enthroned as first Anglican Archbishop of West Africa, that he was greeted by many, many Muslims and presented with a huge Bible, I believe, upon crossing the border into Nigeria.
Yes.
Am I correct on that?
What you have said underlines the fact of what I've tried to put in many words, that the average Muslim and Christian have no problem. That we have tried to live in peace, because it is a fact of our country that you cannot wish away the Christian, you cannot wish away the Muslim.
Right.
And therefore, it is something we have to fashion out. How do we live together? But this idea or this new move to dominate, to subjugate, coming from the angle of Boko Haram, possibly as a tool of politicians, and possibly as a tool, like he put it, of some powerful forces that actually do not own up, is a new thing to us. And we see that if it is pursued to its logical conclusion, the victims will be many. One, the country will be a victim. There may be no Nigeria. Two, the individuals will be bruised, including Boko Haram itself. Because all of us are dwelling under the shelter of the entity called Nigeria, with its money, with its limited organizations that it provides, with its limited infrastructure, and as limited as they are, that's what is keeping us. So if we destroy those things, of course, we become the victims. Christians and Muslims together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Grace. I want to reassure you that, yes, while we are focused on Capitol Hill, we do have interest in Africa and Nigeria in specifics here at Heritage. And I also commend you on your wonderful use of Nigerian English. Many of my colleagues in this country probably could use some lessons in it, too. Thank you all for your kind attention. I'm sure His Grace will be glad to talk with you some more afterwards.